1. Let me tell you about this fascinating 1962 Ford F-100 I found on Craigslist. You know, these unibody F-100s are pretty special. They only made them for a few years, and this one's got quite a story to tell. For $9,500, you're looking at a long bed model with some serious muscle under the hood. The original engine has been swapped for a mighty 460 big block, and they've topped it with a high-rise intake and an Edelbrock carb. That's some serious power right there. The C6 transmission has been rebuilt and paired with a B&M shifter, which is a solid combo for this kind of setup. Let's be honest about the condition. While it's generally clean for a 60-year-old truck, it's not perfect. There's rust in both front cab mounts and some surface rust on the floor. Typical issues for these old Fords. The odometer shows 140,000 miles, but it is rolled over, so the actual mileage is unknown. The blue paint looks decent in the working truck kind of way, and it's got a clean Colorado title. What's really cool is that this F-100 is a solid driver. You can actually enjoy it while you gradually restore it. For under 10 grand, you're getting a piece of Ford truck history with some serious hot rod potential. Think of it as a project truck that you can actually drive and enjoy while you work on it. In today's market, finding a running and driving unibody F-100 at this price point is pretty interesting, even with those rust issues. It's not a show truck, but it's got tons of character and potential. 2. We're looking at something pretty special, a 1978 Chevy Suburban with the massive 454 big block. This isn't your everyday Suburban, it's a 3/4 ton model, which makes it quite rare and desirable. For $5,000, you're getting a piece of American utility history that actually runs and drives. The seller's being straight up about its condition. This big boy needs some cosmetic love with the paint and interior, but mechanically, it seems to be in solid shape. With 92,500 original miles and maintenance records to back it up, that's pretty impressive for a 45-year-old workhorse. What's really catching my attention here is that everything important works. The AC, which is huge for a vehicle this age, lights, and even the radio are all functioning. They've kept up with the basics too. It's got 2-year-old tires, a recent alignment, and fresh oil. That 454 engine is the star of the show here. These big block Suburbans are getting harder to find, especially in running condition at this price point. Sure, it's not going to win any beauty contests right now, but with some TLC on the paint and interior, you could have a really sweet classic SUV. For $5 grand, you're getting a running and driving piece of Chevy history that needs some cosmetic work, but has good bones. The mileage is believable, it has a clean title, and let's be honest, where else are you going to find a 454 powered classic Suburban for this kind of money? It's a project, sure, but one that you can actually use while you fix it up. 3. Let's talk about this 1978 Chevy C10 that's popped up on Craigslist for $12,000. This is one of those classic square-body short beds that everyone's going crazy for these days. And it's got some interesting mods that make it stand out. Let's be real here. The seller's honest about calling it fair condition, and there's rust in the bed that needs attention. But there's also a lot of good stuff going on. Under the hood, you've got the classic 350 V8 paired with a 350 transmission, breathing through dual 2.5 inches pipes with Flowmasters. That's gotta sound sweet. The Edelbrock AVS 2650 carb is a nice touch for better performance. What's cool is the stance. It's got a 5 inches drop in the rear and 2.5 inches lowering spindles up front, sitting on 8x15 rally wheels with meaty 275/60ths R15 tires. The owner's done some smart upgrades, like swapping in power window doors from an 80s Suburban, and they've addressed the notorious floor panel rust that these trucks usually suffer from. The truck's got some interesting history too. It was originally a Silverado package, so it came with AC, though the listing doesn't mention if it works. They put in new glass front and rear, and the tires only have about 5K miles on them. For $12K, you're getting a lowered square body with some tasteful mods and repairs already done. Sure, the odometer's broken and there's still some rust to deal with in the bed, but these C10s are getting harder to find, especially short beds. It's not perfect, but it's got potential and style. Just be ready to tackle that bed rust if you want to take it to the next level. 4. Let me tell you about this absolutely awesome piece of Mopar history, a a 1977 Dodge W150 Power Wagon that's so cool it's actually been featured in a commercial. And get this, it's packing a stock 440 big block under the hood. For $8,000 firm, you're looking at what the seller calls a national treasure. And honestly, they might not be exaggerating. These W150 Power Wagons are getting harder to find, especially with their original big block engines. The 440 was a monster motor for its time, and it's pretty special to find one still in stock form. The truck presents well in red, showing 80,000 miles on the odometer, and comes with a clean title. It's got the rugged 4x4 system these Power Wagons were famous for, paired with an automatic transmission, a combo that made these trucks legendary for their capability. What makes this one particularly interesting is its commercial appearance. That's not something you can say about many 46-year-old trucks. The seller rates the condition as good, and at $8,000, you're getting a piece of Dodge truck history that's becoming increasingly collectible. These late 70s Power Wagons have a huge following, and with good reason. They're tough as nails, have tons of character, and that 440 engine is just pure muscle truck paradise. For anyone looking for a classic 4x4 with some serious presence and Hollywood credentials, this could be your ticket. 5. Let's talk about this 1978 Chevy C10 square body that's up for grabs at $5,300. This is one of those honest original trucks that's getting harder to find these days. Let's be straight up here. Yes, it's got rust in the usual places, the seller's being upfront about that. But there's a lot to like about this classic hauler. It's still wearing its original paint and color, which is pretty cool for a truck of this age, even if it's not perfect. Under the hood, you've got the original 350 V8 with a 4-barrel carb that's been rebuilt. And here's a big plus. It's got a new warranted 350 transmission. That's some serious peace of mind right there. The dual gas tanks are a nice feature too, giving you some extra range. What I really appreciate about this truck is that it hasn't been messed with. No lowering, no lifting, just stock suspension the way Chevy intended. With 100K on the clock and a clean Nevada title, it's one of those trucks that could be either a solid daily driver or a good base for a restoration project. For $5,300, you're getting a piece of American truck history that's mechanically sound with that new transmission, even if it needs some body work. These square bodies are seriously hot right now, and finding one this original that runs good is getting tougher. Just be ready to tackle those rust issues if you want to take it to the next level. 6. We're looking at a really interesting 1975 Ford F100 that's got quite a story to tell. At $12,000, this long bed custom model has been loved by its second owner for the past decade, and it shows. Let's talk about what makes this truck special. It's wearing its original yellow paint, which is pretty remarkable for a 48-year-old workhorse. The odometer shows 14,578, but yeah, it's rolled over at least once, which is expected for its age. What's really cool is the amount of mechanical work that's been done. New spark plugs, fuel filter, muffler, brakes, tires, rebuilt transmission, new alternator, battery, starter, mechanical pump. The list goes on. Now let's be honest about the issues, because every old truck has some. There's a tear in the original driver's seat upholstery. It's having some fuel pump gremlins that need sorting out. Someone snagged the radio antenna, and there's a small oil leak that costs about $1 every few months. But here's the kicker. It comes with Oregon plates good until 2026, and being a 75, it's emissions exempt in California and many other states. What makes this F100 extra special is all the documentation. The owner has kept all the receipts for work done, emissions tests, the original manual, and even the original bill of sale. That's gold for collectors and enthusiasts. For $12K, you're getting a well-maintained piece of Ford truck history that's been consistently cared for. The seller's moving out of country and can't take it along. Their loss could be your gain. It's not perfect, but it's honest. And with those mechanical updates, it's ready to keep trucking for years to come. 7. Let me tell you about this fascinating 1983 GMC Suburban that's caught my eye. It's not your everyday SUV. This is a 3/4-ton 4x4 diesel beast with some interesting upgrades. For $5,500, you're looking at a 6.2L diesel Suburban with a Banks turbo kit. That's a pretty sweet combination. The seller's being super transparent about everything here, which I really appreciate. It's showing 149K miles, rolled over once, and while it's not perfect, it's got some really solid bones. Let's talk about the good stuff first. It's got a 4-speed automatic with overdrive, a block heater for those cold starts, and the body's mostly solid with minimal rust. That's huge for a 42-year-old truck. The transmission shifts firmly through all gears, and the brakes, including the Hydro Boost system, are working well. Now, let's be honest about the issues. It does puff some blue smoke on cold starts, though it clears up when warm. Needs an alignment and shocks, could use new tires, and has some electrical gremlins. The gauges and climate control blower don't work, and there's some power window issues. The interior's decent but has some staining in the cargo area. For $5,500, you're getting a unique piece of GMC history that's still totally usable while you fix it up. These diesel Suburbans are getting harder to find, especially with that Banks turbo setup. It's not perfect, but it's honest. And with some TLC, this could be an awesome classic SUV project that you can actually drive while you work on it. 8. We're looking at something really special. A 1975 Ford F-250 Highboy crew cab that's asking $30,000. And let me tell you why this price might actually make sense. First off, crew cab highboys are incredibly rare, especially in this condition. This isn't just any old F-250. It's got that distinctive highboy stance that Ford only made for a few years, and the crew cab configuration makes it even more desirable. The truck's had some serious recent work done in 2023, including a fresh black paint job, interior refresh, new exhaust system, and power steering service. What's really catching my eye is that style side box they installed in 2023. It gives the truck a cleaner, more modern look, while keeping the classic appeal. With just 54,000 miles showing on the odometer and a clean title, this is one of those rare finds that collectors go crazy for. The powertrain setup is classic Ford, a big V8 paired with a manual transmission and 4x4 capability. These highboys are famous for their exceptional ground clearance and off-road capability, thanks to their unique factory lift setup. At $30K, yes, it's a serious investment. But consider this. Original crew cab highboys are becoming incredibly valuable collector pieces. And this one's had all the right updates while maintaining its originality where it counts. For someone looking for one of the rarest and most desirable classic Ford trucks out there, this could be a pretty special opportunity. 9. Let's talk about this super cool 1969 Chevy C20 that's up for grabs at $8,500. Now technically it's listed as a Silverado, but in '69 this would have been a C20, as the Silverado name wasn't a model yet. Just a fun fact for you truck history buffs. What makes this truck special is its originality and character. You're looking at a long bed step-side with the classic inline-6 engine paired with a manual transmission. That's a bulletproof combination that these trucks were famous for. The 8 lug wheels tell us this is indeed a C20 heavy-duty model, which is pretty desirable among collectors. The seller's done something really cool here. They've preserved the truck's patina with a clear coat, which means you get that awesome vintage look while protecting it from further weathering. That green paint with the patina tells a story that you just can't replicate with a fresh paint job. The wooden bed deck adds that perfect period-correct touch. With 78,000 miles showing and a clean title, plus the fact that it runs and drives great, this could be a fantastic daily driver or weekend cruiser. These C20s were built to work, and this one looks like it's ready to keep on trucking. For $8,500, you're getting a piece of Chevy truck history with tons of character. The inline-6 manual combo might not win any drag races, but it'll run forever if you take care of it. If you're looking for a classic truck with authenticity and style, this patinaed beauty could be your ticket. 10. Let's talk about this interesting 1970 Chevy El Camino project that's up for grabs for $7,500. And when I say project, I mean project. The seller's being totally upfront about that. This is one of those good bones needs work situations that could be really cool when finished. The big news here is under the hood. Someone's already done an LS swap, dropping in a 5.3L from an 04/05 Tahoe paired with a 4L60R transmission. That's a solid modern powertrain upgrade that could make this El Camino a really fun driver when it's done. Let's be real here, this is not a drive-at-home purchase. The odometer's broken, showing 78,036, and you'll need a trailer to take it home. But what you're getting is a project with some expensive parts already bought and a modern heart ready to make some power. For $7,500, you're looking at a base model, 70 El Camino that needs assembly, but has potential to be a really cool resto mod. The LS swap alone is a valuable starting point, and with all those new parts included, it could be a great opportunity for someone with the skills and patience to put it all together. Just remember, projects always take more time and money than you expect, but man, this could be awesome when it's done. 11. We're checking out a pretty interesting piece of Ford history, a 1972 Ford Ranchero GT that's available for just $4,000. And let me tell you, while it needs some love, there's a lot to work with here. The heart of this car-truck hybrid is what makes it special. It's packing a 351 Cleveland V8, which was one of the best engines Ford offered in these years. Paired with an automatic transmission, and the seller says it runs great. That's a solid starting point for any project. Now let's be honest here, because the seller is, this Ranchero needs work. The body needs paint, and the interior needs attention. The odometer shows 1,000 miles, but has obviously rolled over at least once. But here's the thing. Finding a running, driving Ranchero GT with a 351C for $4,000 in today's market is getting pretty rare. The GT trim level makes this more desirable than a base model Ranchero, and these vehicles are gaining popularity among collectors. They're unique, not quite a car, not quite a truck, but definitely all cool. For $4K, and they're saying OBO, you're getting a project vehicle with good bones and a great engine. Yes, it needs cosmetic work, but if you're handy with body and interior work, this could be transformed into something really special without breaking the bank on the initial purchase. Just remember, these old Fords usually hide some surprises under that paint, so budget accordingly for the restoration. 12. Let me tell you about this absolutely gorgeous 1970 Ford F250 that's up for grabs at $19,000. This isn't just any old F250, we're talking about a Camper Special Edition Sport Custom, and it's got some serious collector appeal. What makes this truck special is its originality. It's still wearing its factory two-tone green paint, which is incredible for a 53-year-old work truck. Under the hood, you've got the mighty 390 V8, one of Ford's most reliable big block engines of the era. The fact that it's showing 216,363 miles and still running, well, speaks volumes about these trucks' durability. The Camper Special package was a big deal back then, giving these trucks extra capability for hauling campers, and the Sport Custom trim added some nice aesthetic touches. The sellers kept the original wheels, which is huge for authenticity, and they've updated the upholstery to keep it comfortable while preserving the classic look. Some modern practicality has been added with a bed toolbox and trailer haul tech, making it still useful as a working truck. Being a long bed single cab, it's got that classic proportion that these old Fords are famous for. At $19K, or best offer, you're getting a well-preserved piece of Ford truck history. The combination of Camper Special and Sport Custom trim makes this a relatively rare find, especially in this original condition. The tags are good through October, so you can enjoy it right away. 13. Let me clear up something right away. This listing calls it a sedan, but what we're actually looking at is a 1976 Ford F250 Highboy, one of the most sought-after classic Ford trucks out there. For $12,700, you're looking at a piece of Ford truck history. These Highboys, Ford's nickname for their 1967-77 4X4 F250S, are famous for their distinctive factory-lifted stance and incredible off-road capability. With 93,145 miles showing on the odometer and a clean title, this white F250 represents a significant piece of Ford's 4X4 heritage. The listing is pretty sparse on details, but here's what makes any Highboy special. They came with a unique front suspension setup that gave them more ground clearance than standard 4x4s, and they're known for their incredible durability. The automatic transmission in this one makes it a bit more livable as a daily driver compared to the manual versions. While we don't have details about the engine, listed as Other, these typically came with either the 360 or 390 V8, both robust power plants that have earned a reputation for reliability. At this price point, you're in the market for a classic 4x4 that's becoming increasingly collectible. These highboys have a dedicated following, and their values have been climbing steadily. Whether you're looking for a unique classic truck or a capable vintage 4x4, this 76 highboy could be worth checking out. 14. Let's talk about this seriously modified 1961 Ford short bed that's up for grabs for $23,000. This isn't your average 61 Ford. Someone's put some serious thought and money into making this a modern driving classic. Let's dive into what makes this truck special. First off, they've done a heart transplant, dropping in a 351 Cleveland V8 paired with a C4 automatic transmission. That's a potent combination that gives this vintage truck some real muscle car spirit. But the upgrades don't stop there. The suspension has been modernized with a Volare torsion bar setup, which is a huge improvement over the original leaf springs. They've added power steering and front disc brakes, which transforms how this truck handles and stops. There's even air conditioning and a power driver's seat, luxury features you definitely didn't get in 61. Now let's be transparent here. It does have a salvage title, which is something any potential buyer needs to factor into their decision. However, the seller describes it as being in excellent condition, and with all these modern upgrades, it's basically a resto mod that combines classic looks with modern drivability. For $23K, you're getting a seriously upgraded classic short bed that's been built to drive. The red paint looks sharp, and with all these mechanical improvements, this could be a fantastic daily driver or weekend cruiser that stands out at any car show. Just remember to do your due diligence regarding the salvage title history. 15. Let me tell you about this amazing piece of Chevy history. A 1960 Chevy C20 that's been a one-owner California truck its whole life, and it's available for just $5,500. This is one of those honest, working trucks that's got a great story to tell. Under the hood, you've got the classic 283 V8 paired with a 4-speed manual transmission, a combination that's proven itself over decades of service. The seller says it runs and drives great, which is pretty impressive for a 63-year-old workhorse. What makes this truck special is the care it's received. The frame has been powder-coated, which is a huge plus for longevity, and they've installed new shocks for a better ride. The bed's been refreshed with new plywood, so it's ready to work or show. Being a California truck means it's likely avoided the rust issues that plague these old trucks in other regions. Now let's be honest about the one obvious issue. The back window is missing. But for the price, that's a fixable problem, and these old Chevy parts aren't too hard to find. At $5,500, you're getting a piece of American truck history with a documented one-owner California history. It's registered non-op with no back fees owed, which is great news for the next owner. Being a C20 3/4 ton, it's built tougher than its C10 sibling, making it a more capable work truck. 16. Let's talk about this 1966 Ford F250 Camper Special that's up for grabs for $9,000. The seller's being refreshingly honest about this old workhorse, so let's break it down. First off, this is a Camper Special model, which is pretty cool. These were beefed up to handle slide-in campers, making them more robust than standard F250s. Under the hood, you've got the 352 V8 paired with an automatic transmission, a solid powertrain combo that Ford was famous for. Now let's be real about the condition. The seller's straight up about it being fair with lots of little dents and dings, and some rust in the bed corners. That's pretty typical for these old trucks, and at least it's been garage kept and kept out of the rain, which helps preserve what's there. The good news is that everything works except the horn, which is usually an easy fix. With 86,800 miles showing and a clean title, it's got plenty of life left in it. These old Fords were built to last, and the fact that it's been garaged is a huge plus. For $9,000, or potentially a trade for a Harley Sportster, you're getting a piece of Ford truck history that needs some cosmetic love, but appears to be mechanically sound. The camper special designation adds some collector value, and these mid-60s F250s are getting harder to find, especially ones that haven't been completely worn out. 17. Let me tell you about this awesome 1973 Ford F250 Highboy that's up for grabs for $12,500. And this isn't just any old Ford, this is a true highboy with some serious recent work done. First off, let's talk about what makes a highboy special. These were Ford's factory-lifted 4x4s made from '67, '77, and they've got a cult following for good reason. This one's running the legendary 300CI inline-6, paired with a 4-speed manual. That's one of the most bulletproof combinations Ford ever made. The sellers put some serious money into making this truck reliable. Check out this list of new parts: off-road tires, 8-lug steel rims, machined head with new gasket, new exhaust manifold, new carb, rebuilt starter, new flywheel, rebuilt power steering pump, new heater motor, and dual batteries. That's a lot of fresh hardware. Being found at an Idaho mountain cabin explains its survival. And the seller's honest about the truck's condition. There's rust in the passenger floor panel, but that's apparently the only bad spot. The paint is described as a 10-footer, looks good from 10 feet away, which is perfect for a working classic. For $12,500, you're getting a mechanically sorted highboy with lots of new parts and spares. These trucks are getting harder to find, especially ones that haven't been modified to death. With the reliable inline-6 and 4x4 capability, this could be an awesome daily driver or weekend warrior that'll just keep climbing in value. 18. Let me tell you about this super cool 1966 Dodge D100 that's available for just $3,500. And this one's got some real character. What we've got here is a Survivor-style D100, packing the legendary 318 Poly V8. That's the early Polysphere version, not the later LA series, matched to a 3-on-the-tree manual transmission, a combination that's becoming increasingly rare to find in running condition. The seller's using it as a daily driver, which tells us a lot about its reliability. Let's be real here. At $3,500, you're not getting a show truck, and the seller's honest about it needing some fixing up. But here's the cool part. It's a running, driving piece of Mopar history that can handle freeway speeds right now. That's getting harder to find at this price point. With 92,000 miles showing and wearing what appears to be red paint, this truck represents that perfect sweet spot between project and driver. The fact that it's an original Survivor means you're getting an authentic piece of 60s Dodge truck history, not something that's been modified or heavily restored. For $3,500, you're looking at an entry-level classic truck that you can actually use while you improve it. These early D100s are getting harder to find, especially with their original powertrains intact. Sure, it needs some work, but where else are you going to find a running, driving, V8-powered 66 Dodge pickup for this kind of money? 19. Let me tell you about this really interesting 1977 Dodge W200 that's got a unique military history, and it's available for just $4,500. What makes this truck special is its military heritage. You can verify this from the VIN plate, which is pretty cool for collectors and military vehicle enthusiasts. Under the hood, you've got a V8 paired with an automatic transmission. And the seller says both the truck and the 4x4 system are working great. Here's what's really impressive. There's over $2,200 in recent repairs with receipts to prove it. That's huge because it means someone's already invested in making this truck reliable. With 156,189 miles, showing and wearing what looks like military green paint, appropriate for its history, this W200 has plenty of stories to tell. For $4,500, and they're open to offers or trades, you're getting a piece of both Dodge and military history. These W200s were tough trucks to begin with, and the military versions were built to an even higher standard. The fact that it runs and drives great, with a working 4x4 system and recent repairs, makes this price pretty attractive. This could be perfect for someone looking for a unique classic 4x4 with some real history behind it. It's not just another old truck, It's a piece of military history that you can actually drive and use. Whether you're into military vehicles, classic Dodges, or just want a tough old 4x4, this W200 offers something special at a pretty reasonable price point. 20. Let me tell you about this interesting 1968 Chevrolet C20 that's up for grabs for $6,500. The seller's being super transparent about everything, so let's break this down. First off, this is a C20, the 3/4-ton version of Chevy's iconic truck line, powered by a V8 with an automatic transmission. The good news is that the chassis is solid without major rust or rot, just some surface rust in spots. That's huge for these old trucks because a solid foundation is everything. Now let's talk about what needs attention, because the seller's really upfront about it. The main issue is it needs a new fuel tank. They even provide the eBay link, $209.32 shipped, and it's currently running on a temporary small tank that'll only get you through a test drive. There's also a partially installed new wiring harness and a temporary ignition switch, plus the paint's popping off in some areas. But here's what makes this interesting. It's got a new instrument cluster, that fresh wiring harness, and what the seller calls good bones. At 135,000 miles with a clean title, this C20 has potential to be a really nice truck with some basic repairs. For $6,500, and they're open to offers or trades, you're getting a running and driving classic Chevy that needs some finishing work but isn't a basket case. The fact that it's mostly solid with just surface rust is pretty remarkable for a 57-year-old work truck.